The thing I want to reframe in this 30 minutes really is your point of view on business and creativity. There is a sense that there is a creative business and there's a business over here that is not creative. There's a sense that there's a creative person and there's a person over here that is not creative. And we think it's kind of binary because it adds value into the creative industries, but I don't think it's true. So I'm going to unpick that a little bit with you. We're going to talk about creativity as I see it. We can talk about whether you agree with that too. That's really good, and we're going to run through all of that. But the first thing that I want to say, getting into the mix of it, is not that, is just that, really. It's a problem. Like, I can look at these, right? The business is obsessed with creativity. That's the first thing I've learned going into Deloitte for 7 years. And people say, what's it like? And I'm like, it's extraordinary. Because that could be all kinds of things, right? I don't really have to qualify what I mean with that. But the thing is, it's big business at scale, and you learn things in rooms of people who are different. And it's been the most adventurous creative journey for me. But what I've learned from our business and our clients' businesses is that increasingly and ever more businesses are obsessed with creativity. But I gave my joke away, right? Because I've sort of lied, because what they're really obsessed with is growth, of course, right? You'd have heard this. And it's not just businesses. Are we in a recession? Are we growing? You know, what are those numbers? Businesses are absolutely obsessed for years and years about creating growth. The problem is, and I'll focus on words a ton in this presentation, the problem is that has become a bad word. Its connotation to sustainability, growth on a planet of finite resources, it's a problem. Why should we be in a society that's always seeking growth? That hustle culture is exhausting. At what expense is that growth? AI growth, at what expense? So this has become a troubling word, and businesses recognize that it's becoming a troubling word, so they got creative and reframed it as value creation, which is way better. It's way better for a number of reasons. One, it's way broader when you unpack it. So yeah, you can talk about financial value in value creation. How are we going to make more money? How are we going to increase our margin, our revenue, whatever your business strategy is, what you need to do? What you get from lifetime users of customers, what you pay your staff, all those kind of things. You can do value creation in financial, but you can do it in functional. What tools and services and offerings are you going to create? So now that concept of growth has started to look into products and services properly. But it also goes where I like to play in this psychological space of, well, how do we create value in how people are thinking about us? Which is obviously where our creative industries play so much. And when you say that to a management consultant of 30 years, and I say, well, it's all about psychological value, they go, get it. Whereas if I say, well, it's all about the beauty and the craft of the way that the serif is doing this to achieve that in the funnel that does this or that, they're like, no. Not the funnel, in fairness. And then there's social value and purpose. So for me, this shift into value creation is massive. But also, all these businesses have just written the word creation in their C-suite. Thank you for the open door. That's an utter gift for all of us. That this reframing means that when we talk about creativity and our expertise in creativity, the invitation is sat right there if we can connect it to value, which is an industry we do not always do. The thing about ideas, though, a lot of people are like, you've got to protect the idea, it's really fragile. You know, I don't think they're fragile, I think they're gelatinous. I think they're like slime. I think they slip through your fingers and blob around, and you have to sort of pick them back up again and try and I think they're slippy. They're hard to hold on to. They move around. Someone comes in and says, we should do this with it. And you're like, no, don't do that. Or they bend it differently, and then everyone piles on, and it's just a blob of stuff or whatever. So for me, these things that you do need to be careful. You need to take care and focus on them and really, really hold it, because it's going to go through your fingers if it can. How do you hold it together? It won't break. I don't think ideas break. I don't really think we have ideas. I think we build them. That's a whole nother story. But they're slippery, right? And there's really loads of stories in culture, like Tom Waits driving a car and he's like, not now, idea, I'm driving. I really like that. He just sends it away. Or there's a poet on the hillside who's gone, the idea's coming. which is very poety, isn't it? Like runs inside to make sure they're there for the idea before it goes past them. I sort of believe it all. These things, they're slippy and they move around. How do you get hold of them? This is so simple. I sort of don't trust it. It took me years to say this in this game. But an idea, the process of an idea is what to say and how to say it. And that's it. You've got to work out what to say first. And everyone says, well, that's the strategist's job, which it sort of is. But I think strategy is an act of creativity also. And I think we devalue strategy when we split it from creativity and say that all the strategists are nodding, hell man, yeah, right? But that sense of how you bring those thoughts together, to place it in culture, to place it in the stream of what's happening, to start to tell that story is an act of creativity. Different. And then you go, how do you want to say it? You can say it any way you like. And the creative who's thinking about that is going to twist it. So you take that pill differently, and it's a magic skill set. But they're both creative skill sets, what to say and how to say it. I tend to do these days, which may be age, more what to say. But this phrase, when I've used it with creative teams in my career, this gives creative teams the sweats. I've got the idea, pitch it like this. They pitch it for like 10, 15 minutes, and I'm sat there looking at it going, all right, I think I'm on. Can you get it down? And they're like, oh. Because now they've got to synthesize that into, I don't want a manifesto, that's all tricks and bells and whistles. They're great manifestos, they're great, right? But they're tricks. And they're great tricks because we want to pull those heartstrings, and I'll do that all day long with my clients, but they're tricks because they're easy to write in different. Give me a tight paragraph of prose, lock it down and tell me what that is so I can see it and feel it and we can share it. That's the difficult thing. Get that idea down. And there is a process here that you will find in most ad agencies in some form or another of truths, which is funny, isn't it? Because they're not really truths. But then again, we say brands should be authentic. They are made up constructs. How can they possibly be? Anyway, there are truths. So you can go is, what is the cultural truth? This is the big one. What's the macro thing that's happening that we can be part of that is affecting our business and affecting our opportunity? What's the human truth? How are people using it and engaging with it? Market. What are our competitors doing? And then what can we do uniquely? When you fill up these pots with insights, and then when you start to crunch them together, you work out what to say. And it's an art, because you can say a million things. How do you say the right thing? And that's the skill set here. That's the creative skill set, to bring all of that together. We use that structure all day, every day. I use it in 5 minutes if I'm in trouble, and I use it in 5 weeks or 5 years if I've got the time. But I use that structure all day, every day to get to. But then I go, this is what we want to say. And then, well, how do you say it? You've got it down, lift it up. You've got all the incredible skills of creative execution at your disposal, and a ton more coming down like an AI steam train for how you want to express that thought. And also, you can express that thought a million ways over a million years, if it's a big enough thought, which is the center of a brand. And the identity of who a brand is, for me, is the idea at the center of that business. And that's the process to do it.